Speaking of moments and segments that defined an era, how about the WWE Diva Search? During the mid-2000s, WWE would bring in models and celebrities who had zero wrestling experience and make them compete in ridiculous challenges for a contract. We'd have bikini contests, talent shows, and obstacle courses that had nothing to do with actual wrestling. The Diva Search also gave us names like Ashley, Michelle McCool.
Boy, that's Vince McMahon for you. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, my bad.
Nothing to do with actual wrestling. The Diva Search also gave us names.
They out there running obstacle courses. The crowd confused as hell. They're like, what the hell going on?
Forgotten shows to iconic set pieces, these are 21 things only OG WWE fans will remember. Starting with the legendary SmackDown Fist. Before SmackDown became a mediocre mess with a boring LED stage, the show had real personality with that massive fist at the entrance. Every Friday night, superstars would march down the ramp and the fist immediately told you that you were watching the blue brand. Unlike today's soulless show, the fist was a symbol of an era when SmackDown was must-see TV.
Hey, Triple H, bring back the fist, man. You gotta bring back the fist, man, for the culture. Man, come on.
Moved it in 2008, it felt like the end of an era. That fist represented a time when WWE cared about making each brand feel unique with iconic stages and intros, something that's missing from the current product. However, speaking of iconic intros, nothing got you more hyped up than turning on the TV on a Monday night and hearing this. Across the nation was a weekly war cry that told you Monday nights were about to get crazy. From the rise of Super Cena to Kane's twisted antics, that intro perfectly captured the attitude and energy of Raw during one of its hottest periods. When WWE changed the theme in 2006, it symbolically marked the end of the peak of the ruthless aggression era. Even after that, Raw had some banger intros like this one. Even today, when you hear those opening notes, it instantly transports you back to a time when Raw was absolutely stacked with talent and every episode felt like special. However, back in the day, it wasn't just Raw and SmackDown. WWE had an entire universe of recap shows that only the OGs remember. Heat and Velocity were the undercard shows where up-and-coming stars got their reps in before hitting the main roster. Bottom Line and Afterburn were the recap shows that let you catch up on everything you missed during the week. Velocity, especially, was where cruiserweights put on some bangers while watching Todd Grisham or Josh Matthews on Bottom Line and Afterburn kept you up to date with all the happenings in the world of WWE. However, another
Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton? Nah, this bringing back memories, man. This is crazy.
This time period was a championship belt that divided the fans when it was first introduced, but later became iconic. When John Cena debuted the spinner belt in 2005, wrestling fans had the biggest meltdown in history. This wasn't the prestigious title that led.
I had the spinner belt. My bad for keep pausing. I'm just so excited, bro. This is bringing back so many. I had the spinning WWE championship when I was younger. This is crazy, bro.
Hart, Hulk Hogan, and Shawn Michaels held. This was a spinning hip-hop championship that looked like it came from a toy store. But whether you loved it or hated it, you couldn't deny that the spinner belt defined an entire era of WWE. Cena held that title for what felt like forever, and the belt became synonymous with his Superman booking. Kids loved it and wanted the replica, while older fans complained it looked ridiculous.
That spinner belt was an absolute disgrace.
When they finally retired it in 2013, it marked the end of the Super Cena era that dominated WWE for nearly a decade. But even the spinner belt looked more beautiful compared to the Universal title or the current WWE title belt we have today under Triple H's reign. Speaking of Triple H, if you watched Raw in the mid-2000s, then you know the pain of sitting through a 20-minute Triple H promo at the start of every show. The Game would come out, grab a mic, and proceed to talk about how he's the best thing in wrestling for what felt like an eternity.
Tonight, I am the Game.
He'd bury whoever he was feuding with, talk about his accomplishments, mention his sledgehammer, and somehow still have more to say. It became a running joke and also foreshadowed how Hunter would suck the soul out of Raw even after he stopped being a full-time wrestler. But while Triple H put everyone to sleep with his boring promos, his rival gave us one of the most entertaining characters in 2003 WWE.
Finally!
Finally!
What has come back.
Most fans remember The Rock as the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, or the Brahma Bull, or the final boss. But in 2003, The Rock returned after filming movies and debuted the Hollywood rock persona that became iconic. Gone was the people's champion who loved the fans, and in his place was an arrogant movie star who thought he was too good for WWE. Rock would come out in designer shirts, mock the crowd, and cut promos that were somehow even more entertaining than his babyface run. His feud with Stone Cold at WrestleMania 19 was legendary, and his Rock concerts where he'd roast the crowd and sing about his opponents were pure gold. But speaking of The Rock and Stone Cold, how about the time when Austin would drive beer trucks and Zambo to the ring and raise hell every Monday night? Before Raw became a bland mess with meaningless promos and matches, there was a time when Stone Cold would make Vince McMahon's life a living hell every Monday night, and it was truly beautiful. He'd stun Vince, humiliate his henchmen, destroy his car, hold him at gunpoint, make him pee his pants, spray everyone in the ring with beer. All of this while millions of people watched worldwide. Stone Cold was the biggest star in wrestling at that time, and it represents an era when WWE wasn't afraid to take risks and do things that were completely over the top and insane. But moving on from the Attitude Era antics, how about a segment that was a staple of Raw, which most fans have completely forgotten today? Chris Masters had one of the most dominant gimmicks in mid-2000s WWE with his Master Lock Challenge. Every week, Masters would come out flexing his pecs and offer a prize money to anyone who could break out of his submission hold. Week after week, jobbers and lower card guys would try and fail to escape.
Got Santa Claus in a Master
like an
Lock?
unstoppable force. The challenge became must-see TV because you never knew if someone would finally break it. When Bobby Lashley eventually broke the Master Lock, it was treated like a big deal that elevated Lashley's character. It's the kind of character building segment that WWE doesn't do anymore, and instead relies on cheap pops and short-term viral reels. But another key point that separated this era from current WWE is the fact that the brand split was actually treated like a big deal. After WWE bought WCW and ECW, the roster was absolutely stacked with too much talent for one show. So Vince McMahon split the roster between Raw and SmackDown, creating two distinct brands that would compete against each other. The WWE draft became must-see TV, where fans watched anxiously to see which superstars would go where. OG fans will...
Yo, I remember the draft. Oh my good, yo. This is so... Yo, this is iconic. This is a... Bro, I remember all of this stuff. I'm an OG. Some of y'all was too young to remember this, man. You don't got the elite WWE knowledge like me. I can go from here to here real quick. Just bow bow. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking.
Night when John Cena got drafted to Raw for the first time in 2005, and also when Cena got drafted to SmackDown and back to Raw on the same night. Back then, the brand split was actually treated like a big deal, and shows like Survivor Series and bragging rights were must-see because you wanted to see your favorite show win. Let me know in the comments if you were Team Raw or Team SmackDown.
I was Team SmackDown.
But moving on from the brand split, let's talk about an OG WWE moment that felt absolutely unreal when you first saw it. Most fans today remember the time when Braun Strowman and Big Show broke the ring on Raw, or when Mark Henry and Big Show broke the ring during a pay-per-view. But only real fans remember the insane visual when Brock Lesnar superplexed Big Show off the top rope and broke the ring on an episode of SmackDown while the crowd lost their minds. That moment made Lesnar look like an absolute monster, and also showed why Raw and SmackDown were must-see back in the day. But speaking of moments and segments that defined an era, how about the WWE Diva Search? During the mid-2000s, WWE would bring in models and celebrities who had zero wrestling experience and make them compete in ridiculous challenges for a contract. We'd have bikini contests, talent shows, and obstacle courses that had nothing to do with actual wrestling. The Diva Search also gave us names like Ashley, Michelle McCool.
Boy, that's Vince McMahon for you. I'm sorry, I just had to. I'm sorry, my bad.
Nothing to do with actual wrestling. The Diva Search also gave us names...
They're out there running obstacle courses. The crowd confused as hell. They're like, what the hell going on? Yo.
Ashley, Michelle McCool, and Layla, who went on to become mainstays on SmackDown. Who remembers that one time when The Miz hosted a season of the Diva Search, only to get attacked by the Boogeyman? But speaking of SmackDown's...
I ain't gonna lie, the Boogeyman was an elite character, but they said he was always used for like gimmicks, like backstage, like he'd be used like to scare people. He was always used for like gimmick situations because his in-ring work was ass. Like he couldn't wrestle for nothing. That's what they used to say. You know, who remember when Boogeyman lied about his age on Tough Enough? You gotta be an OG to remember this stuff, man. Boogie, man, he was a good character, man, but he just couldn't wrestle for shit. But let's continue.
During the 2000s, no female authority figure in WWE history got more nuclear heat than Vicky Guerrero with her catchphrase.
Excuse me.
Vicky Guerrero debuted in WWE as Eddie Guerrero's widow, who became a manager and authority figure, and fans absolutely despised her. Every time she grabbed that mic and screeched,
Oh, please.
the entire arena would boo her out of the building. She managed Edge during his Rated R Superstar run and later became SmackDown general manager, abusing her power and making fans miserable every single week. But speaking of names that made fans' life miserable, you simply cannot forget Randy Orton's run as the Legend Killer. Most fans today know Randy Orton as the Viper and a respected veteran, but it was Orton's OG Legend Killer gimmick that turned him into a bona fide superstar. In 2003, a young, cocky Orton started targeting WWE legends and Hall of Famers, taking them out one by one to make a name for himself. He RKO'd Shawn Michaels, punted Dusty Rhodes in the head, attacked Sergeant Slaughter, and even set The Undertaker on fire. The pose, the music, the presentation, everything about Orton screamed arrogance, and the
hey, nothing you could say. Didn't take what you done to me. My bad. I'm sorry.
Killer on fire. The pose, the music, the presentation, everything about Orton screamed arrogance, and the Legend Killer gimmick gave him an edge that made him stand out from everybody else on the roster. But while Orton was killing legends, WWE was experimenting with shows like Cyber Sunday, where fans voted on match stipulations in real time. Before the internet became mainstream, before Twitter was filled with toxic WWE stan accounts, there was a time when WWE gave fans the power to vote online for opponents, match types, and special guest referees during an entire show. While many fans hated the concept, personally, Cyber Sunday was one of my favorite shows, and it would have been interesting to see how the pay-per-view would work in today's landscape. But while fans might be divided about Cyber Sunday, here's something that had teenage boys rewinding their DVRs every single week. Melina had the most jaw-dropping entrance in WWE history, where she'd do a full split that became absolutely iconic. Melina could actually wrestle unlike most divas during that era, but let's be honest, most people remember her for that entrance because it was unique, eye-catching, and became a signature moment that defined her entire career. But while Melina had flexibility, the same can't be said about Vince McMahon. During the finish of the 2005 Royal Rumble, where Batista and Cena went over the top rope at the same time, the referees were confused, and Vince came storming down to the ring to sort things out. But when Vince slid into the ring, he blew out both his quads, and instead of stopping, he sat there and tried to act tough while clearly being in excruciating pain. The image of Vince sitting in the ring, unable to stand, barking orders at referees became an instant meme before memes were even a thing. What made it even funnier was how seriously Vince tried to play it off like nothing was wrong, when clearly both his legs were destroyed. But speaking of unintentionally funny moments, how about the time Stone Cold and Booker T had an entire fight inside a supermarket? The Austin Booker supermarket brawl perfectly captures what made the weekly shows so entertaining during that era. This wasn't a pay-per-view. This wasn't a special show. It was a random episode of SmackDown where Austin and Booker were literally fighting in the aisles of a grocery store. But moving on from these funny segments, let's talk about one of the most emotional and controversial storylines in WWE history. Dominic Mysterio is one of the most promising stars in the WWE today. But back in 2005, WWE literally had Eddie and Ray fighting over his custody in a ladder match. This storyline had betrayal, family drama, and two of the best workers in WWE putting on incredible matches. Eddie played the scumbag heel perfectly, manipulating Dominic and making Ray's life miserable week after week. And even though everyone knew Dominic wasn't really Eddie's son, the storytelling was so good that you got invested anyway. It's the kind of personal, character-driven feud that WWE doesn't do anymore, and it gave us some of the best TV of 2005. But speaking of personal, only OG fans will remember when The Undertaker showed up with a massive tattoo of his wife's name on his neck. Back in 2001, WWE did an angle where DDP was stalking Taker's wife, Sarah. When Taker and Sarah eventually divorced, Taker got the tattoo removed, but real fans will always remember when the dead man wore his heart on his neck, and it will always stay etched in history thanks to the 2002 WWF Raw video game. Speaking of video games, check out this video next about the best versus worst WWE game.
Alright, man, that's gonna do it. If y'all enjoyed that reaction video, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, did y'all remember any of these things? How long y'all been watching wrestling, man? Tell me in the comments down below. Make sure, before you leave out of here, man, hit that like button for your boy, because it do help me get into the algorithm. And golly, yeah, man, I'm out of here, man.